Hey guys, what is up? It is me, Pagey, here once again with another video on Stargirl, and this is going to be my review for episode 13 for this season, the finale. We're finally here, it's gone so quick, and this episode is otherwise entitled Stars and Stripe Part 2. But of course, if you've not watched the episode, go away, because obviously it's the finale. There's a ridiculous amount of spoilers to talk about. But yeah, if you have watched the episode and you are continuing on, it would be awesome if you could let me know your various opinions in the comments section down below. What did you think of this episode? What would you rate it out of 10? What would you give this whole season, as a whole, your review? What did you think of the endings? Were you unhappy with anything? I'm just curious. Just let loose. That's the word. Let loose in the comment section down below. I want to hear what you guys all have to say in regards to everything. And of course, if you're going to enjoy the video, you've enjoyed Stargirl this season, you enjoyed the finale, it'd be awesome if you could drop a like on the video to show your support. Yeah. But obviously, last episode was Stars and Stripe Part 1, but because we've got so much to talk about in this video, the plan starts. There we go. The plan starts. Actually, also, the Principal Bowen died, so that set up some stuff for this episode as well. But yeah, we pretty much kick off the episode 3 minutes in the past, so we're time traveling, not a lot, like some of the flashbacks we've seen this episode, this season, but we're traveling back 3 minutes, and we see the outside world, if you want to call it, or just the outside of Blue Valley during that beginning phase of Project New America. So we also see Isaac Bowen hitting his bully with his tuba, like his mother said for him to do, which would have been her last words, I guess. So there's no more setup with his character in this episode, so I'm assuming next season. So yeah. Well, you see the satellite dish like rise out of the ground, just sending pulses out and just taking over the adults of Blue Valley. Well, that's what we get to see. But we get a better look at that when we see Jordan McKent, aka Icicle, just strolling or maybe even strutting through Blue Valley, soaking in the plan that's now playing out. And we have this little girl that he encounters who's with her dad, and obviously her dad's been taken over. And that's actually that little girl's actually played by the same actress that played Morgan Stark in Avengers Endgame. So if she looked familiar, that's why. So there's your mini Marvel DC crossover for the episode. But of course, as we had right at the end of last episode, which was like I guess the cliffhanger for part 1, was Pat being taken over and in turn Stripe being taken over, and it was teasing a Stargirl versus Stripe fight, and that's what we had. We had them taking each other on in that very enclosed space. So it was a pretty cool and tight-fitted fight. That's probably the best way to put it. Now, we have Corny able to slightly get through to Pat, making him fight against Control, but because of that, if Pat keeps going down that route, he's gonna die. He's not gonna survive that. But luckily, we have Beth to the rescue, using Chuck and the Dr. Midnight goggles, and we have her donating the gambler's bank savings to charities to distract him in order to block the signal to the adults in the tunnels, which I thought was funny. So Pat and Justin are freed at that point, but of course, Barbara is still in trouble because she's not in that tunnel. She's not in the range of those signal blockers. Now, a lot of this stuff happens so quick in the episode. I don't know if I was the only one, but stuff was happening in this episode, and I thought, okay, we must be towards the end, and we're only halfway through. It just goes balls to the wall really quickly in this episode. But we do have the JSA versus the ISA fight, which is pretty cool. We'd seen like a lot of it in the trailers and stuff, so we'd seen a lot of it, but to see it all put together, I think was still cool at the same time. But in the means, or during this fight, might I say, we have Shiv being released, and she actually kills Dragon King. I was like, oh, damn. Like, I wasn't expecting him to die in that fashion, but as soon as the blade, if you want to call it, or something came out of his stomach, and he'd been stabbed in the back, I was like, okay, Cindy's killed him, and then she was there, all frazzled. She definitely needs a shower, because that hair was out of control. Now, a lot of people die in this episode in regards to the ISA, but Sportsmaster and Tigress are knocked out, but they do survive. They make it clear that they're not dead, they just get knocked out. So we should be seeing them return in the future. But speaking of like, oh, okay, we're doing that, we had Grundy released. Grundy gets released out of his thing. He doesn't smash out himself. He gets let out by the gambler, I think it was. So we have a Grundy versus Stripe fight. Big CGI fight, which I thought was cool. If there was going to be a fight between two people, it was either the one that happens next or this one. So we got two for the, well, not even two for the price one. We just got spoiled. We just got double servings. We were a bit greedy in this episode. But Grundy versus Stripe was pretty cool. Just Grundy ripping all the limbs off of the Stripe armor, or the Stripe robot, I thought was like, man, like what the hell? That's a costly repair, but Pat's got the skills if Pat survives. But he does, and that's because Our Man comes to the rescue. So we get Grundy versus Our Man. I think this is a fight we were all wondering if it was going to happen. Not necessarily looking forward to, because we didn't know it was going to happen. But as soon as it happened, I was like, oh, let's go get the popcorn out, because this is going to be awesome. And it was. There was, I think, like, even, like, Rick looked extremely cool in this episode, because he didn't have the mask and the hood on. It was just Rick with his bare head, if you want to call it, in the Owlman suit. I thought he looked awesome, and him fighting Grundy, which is really cool. But we have Rick not killing Grundy. He's been dying to kill Grundy, to get revenge for his parents, looking for justice, revenge, all of that. But he spares the beast, as Justin would say. Obviously, his hour had run out, but he had about 30 seconds there to finish off Grundy, and he decides not to, spares him. I don't know if it was like I guess you could say the quote-unquote humanity in Grundy's eyes, but Rick spares him and sort of listens to what Yolanda was saying earlier, which is sort of ironic because of what happens with Yolanda in this episode. But I think it was really good that Rick didn't kill. I think it was very, very important that Rick as a character did not kill, so I'm happy that the show did that. Now, we did have Shiv versus Stargirl. It was a very quick fight, but I don't think it needed to be front and center, because we'll get more of that next season. So I'm happy that they had a fight, but but I'm happy that it didn't go for too long, if you know what I mean, because we're going to get a lot of that next season. Now, we did have Yolanda being able to get into, like, where the satellite, well, the plan was going on, because obviously, you know, Stargirl was versing Shiv, but we do have her taking on the drones, you know, getting to the end of the tunnel, a tunnel fight in a DC show. You see it a lot. But we do have her encountering Henry King Jr., and I was like, oh, okay. I didn't believe it, really. I was like, something's up here, but I wasn't sure if the show was going to do what it did do, because they hadn't shown this ability in the show yet. It's in the comics, but they hadn't done it on the show as of yet. And that's when we had Henry King Sr. actually illusion casting himself as his son to sort of get through to Yolanda. And I don't know if he was going to kill her when they started walking to the end of the tunnel or something. I'm not too sure what was going to happen there. But Yolanda kills him after giving himself away as an imposter. They were also your friends, Henry. They weren't just Yolanda's. They were your friends as well. So you slipped on your words there, Brainwave Senior. But it was a brutal throat slashing, just straight to the jugular, not the jugular, just straight to the vocal cords. That's where we'll go. That'll shut them up. You have to speak with your brain there, because you can't talk. But obviously, this is going to carry on with Yolanda into next season. It's going to be a big thing. Even her towards the end of the episode, when they're sitting at, like, the football field, she was just sitting there knowing what she had done, and the fact that she had just told Rick that killing was wrong, and then she goes and does it herself, like, you know, talk about a hypocrite. So that's going to play on into next season. I mean, I'm intrigued to see what they do with her character next season and how long that sits with her. But yeah, that was a important moment for Rick to not kill, but also a big moment for Yolanda to decide to kill. So yeah. But we do see Courtney actually flying properly with the cosmic staff, like we saw with Starman in episode 1. She'd never really done that before, but she destroys the satellite dishes. The plan has failed, but we do see the gambler leave his post after deleting, like, all evidence of this plan. So it will be interesting to see if he pops up again next season. I say he's still going to be around next season, so will the gambler? I have to wait and see. Now, obviously, if you saw earlier in the episode, Icicle bailed from the ISA fight. So it was like, yeah, we've lost this. I'm just getting out of here right now. So we see him show up and destroy the Dr. Midnight goggles, which is a big thing, and also take Barbara. But back to the goggles. I don't know what happens with Beth next season. I'm intrigued to see whether they fix the goggles, whether they make it a bit more of a comfortable fit, maybe change up Beth a bit, like still have Chuck around or something along those lines. I'm intrigued to see what they do there, because I wasn't expecting them to just break those goggles. I wasn't expecting that. If anything, that was one of the most unexpected things that happens happened in the episode. I was like, oh, okay, what happens next? So I'm intrigued to see what they do. But the final, like, standoff, I guess you could say, on the roof of the Project New America building was pretty cool with Icicle and Stargirl. Very cool visually, and I liked how Icicle iced up one final time. But you know, that fight happens and Mike hits Icicle with Justin's truck. And at first I thought, okay, Icicle survived. And then I rewatched and I was like, oh no, Icicle just got completely shattered into ice shards. That's one way to make one hell of a gruesome death a little less gory. Just take out the blood, the flesh, the muscles, the guts and everything. Just replace it with ice and water and we're all good. He gets smashed up. I was like, oh, okay, cool. Mike just, I don't even know how to describe it, obliterated. Obliterate, that's probably the best way to describe it. But speaking of Justin, because Mike hit Icicle with Justin's truck, he heads off from Blue Valley in search of the other members of the Seven Soldiers. Now, I was sort of expecting maybe this to happen in the finale or episode 1 of next season, because I just didn't see Sir Justin sticking around the show, but I am intrigued to see if they follow up on that. Maybe an episode next season is like a sort of a crossover, if you want to call it, with Sir Justin and maybe some members of the Seven Soldiers. That would be very, very cool. I have to wait and see if that actually happens, but I'd love to see that. But Justin's been an awesome character this season. So yeah, hopefully we see more of him. But in regards to the ending, we pretty much get to the ending. We get some cliffhangers and set up for next season. So the first one is the Shade. He shows up in the ISA's base in Blue Valley, and we actually see that the ISA's plan that happened is blamed on an earthquake. So I think Pat had said like they always come up with a reason or an excuse for what happens. But the Shade shows up, so that's setting up some stuff up for next season. He's in Blue Valley, so I'm intrigued to see whether he reunites with like Sportsmaster, Tigress, and maybe the Gambler, and does some stuff there. So that's very, very intriguing, because the Shade's a complex character. He's not just, oh, I'm really, really evil. He is evil, but then sort of, it's like sort of good at the same time. So I'm intrigued to see the interpretation of the character come next season. But one, I was like, oh, we're getting this. I was not expecting this. Like, it blew my mind when it happened, because I was like, we had Cindy, and she's, aka Shiv, going through the storage of the wizard. There might have been some other ISA stuff in there, but it just looked like it was the wizard. And she's going through this box, and she pulls this thing out. I'm like, okay, what's this? And she finds the freaking Heart of Darkness, otherwise known as the Black Diamond, that's like connected to a character, or it's pretty much a god, called Eclipso. Now, I will do a video with a much more in-depth explanation on that, and also the other cliffhangers in this finale and where it will go. And that video will come out after the CW version of this finale airs in a couple of days. However, that setup could just go a few different directions, whether Cindy is the person that controls that diamond or uses that diamond, or someone else, and there's a person that already exists on the show that is connected to that diamond. So I am super interested. Let's see where it goes next season, but we'll talk about it in a couple of days. But we did have Christmas time at the Dugan Whitmore household, and we see Courtney give Pat the gift that she had for her father, Sam Curtis, for all those years since she was 5 years old. She's had it for 10 plus years now, but she gives it to her real father, Pat. We've established he is her real father now, and it's a world's greatest dad mug, just like how Barbara has the world's greatest mum. Very emotional moment. I was wondering what that gift was, but just the fact that it's something so simple but so sentimental at the same time, I thought was brilliant. And I think we were all Barbara watching on at that moment. It was just a very emotional moment. I was like, oh, you got me. You got me. I didn't think I'd be getting that emotional at the end of the episode. But obviously that was 6 weeks later, so Stripe is fixed at this point. So we see Stargirl and Stripe on top of Blue Valley pretty much as like a winter wonderland. I thought it was a nice finish to the show, especially because it starts at Christmas in episode 1 and ends in Christmas. So I thought that was really nice. And obviously the nicest moment of the episode was the dedication to Courtney Elizabeth Johns, or Courtney Johns, at the end of the of this little main part of the episode. Obviously, Stargirl, or Courtney Whitmore, is dedicated to Courtney Johns, who is Jeff Johns' sister, who tragically passed away in a plane accident. So I thought that was a brilliant touch at the end. But that's not it. Nah, that's not it. We got the most, like, hold on. What are you doing? What are you doing, show? The end credit scene. I was like, they said there was an end credit scene. I wasn't too sure what it was going to be. I thought it might have been one of those teasers like The Shade or something. But it's someone showing up to Pat Dugan's old address or old place in California looking for him. He's like, hey, is Pat Dugan here? What's going on? He's like, no, he's moved. And we find out it's Sylvester Pemberton. Joel McHale's there, Sylvester Pemberton. So is he alive? What's going on? Well, I'll try and explain it, and we'll talk about it in that video in a couple of days, but that was just like, hold on, the biggest, that got me. That got me. My jaw was open, because I was like, I didn't even know where they're going to go with this and why it's happening. So, but I'm loving it. I'm loving it. I love being surprised, and that got me. So, yep, Starman's back. But yeah, this episode, this finale, I thought was just the perfect ending for this season. It's set up a decent amount for season 2, more than you would get with other shows as well. You usually get like one thing. This gave like 3 or 4. So I was very happy with that. But yeah, I really can't fault it. You could argue maybe like it felt like it might have skipped some bits, but I'm sure this episode was probably like 50 minutes originally or something like that, and was cut down a bit. And there might have even been more setup for next season that we didn't see, like more with Isaac Bowen and maybe even some other characters, maybe with like Artemis or something like that, or even Cameron McCann. We haven't seen him for like 4 episodes, so there could have been some setup with that. We didn't even get a reaction to his dad dying, so there might have been some of that stuff cut out. So you could say, oh well, it feels maybe a bit disjointed because of that. But in regards to what we saw, I can't complain about any of it. I enjoyed pretty much every single frame of this finale, and bring on season 2. Give me a time machine, please. But yeah, guys, thanks for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you did, it'd be awesome if you could drop a like on it to show your support. Let me know in the comment section down below your various opinions about this finale. What was your favorite bit? All of that. I'm curious to hear what you guys have to say in the comment section down below. And of course, if you are new to the channel, make sure to subscribe. And yeah, I'll catch you guys later. Goodbye.